Hello and welcome to 10 tips for 3 Hopes hard mode. So in this guide, I'm going to be going over 10 basic combat tips that will help you easily beat missions in this game, as well as in a lot of cases get S rank. So a lot of these tips have to do with switching units, checking for advantages, things like this. So the first tip, check weaknesses before starting the mission. So you can see here, before we even start, you can actually check who has an advantage or disadvantage. So obviously in this mission, Dimitri and Ingrid are good to run as long as they avoid this side of the map. And then Dedu can actually push that side of the map. He has an advantage. And Ash in this case is just kind of similar, where he just has an advantage in certain parts that Dimitri and Ash have, or Dimitri and Ingrid have an advantage, but he doesn't have a disadvantage anywhere. So you could probably take Ingrid and Dimitri, push them this way. Dedu and Ash could push this side. So, okay. So you want to check weaknesses. You also want to play your unit's strengths. So some maps will have half the map covered, so as you can see here. So the first tip is more of checking for critical weaknesses. So for example, if Dedu was weak to everything, you just wouldn't run him, right? So you want to make sure you're not running terrible units or weapon types for the particular map. So for example, if there were nothing but archers on a map, it'd probably be a bad idea to run Pegasus Knight or Wyvern Rider for that reason, because everything counters you, right? So you want to make sure before you even commit to units or a team comp, you want to change based on weaknesses. Alright, so that's the first tip. The second tip is playing to your strengths. So that would be the battle plan I outlined, where Ash and Dedu push left and then go up and then right, and then Ingrid and Dimitri just kind of push this. So that would be actually playing to their strengths based on the situation in the map. So alright, so that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, you can buy level ups and upgrade your weapon at the blacksmith to improve damage and weapon durability. So more combat art spam. Buying level ups is very helpful to getting a unit caught up to speed. I actually leveled Ash up from buying level ups from 10 to 40, so now he's usable, essentially. I still need to level some of these units up, but buying level ups, forging weapons, improving damage and durability means more combat arts, more damage, so you can't go wrong doing that. Okay, so on maps where you have to attack and defend, so let's actually start this. On maps where we have to attack and defend, you should devote durable units to defending while you pursue an objective. So this map you don't need to defend, but for an example, this is what I would do. I would probably take Dedu, assign him to defend the stronghold captain, and then if this position is ever in trouble, you can switch to Dedu and just attack whatever is attacking the stronghold, kill it, and then quickly switch back. So that's a pretty easy way of keeping an objective safe. And you can also use fast units, like mounted units, to defend strongholds. And the big upside to that is you just switch them, kill the attackers, and then you can go back to attacking yourself. Or you can have them attack another objective and kind of rotate back as needed. So that's pretty useful. Usually the game will call out when a position's being attacked, and it'll show attacking lines much like this, but coming from enemies in red. So you usually have some indication that a thing is about to be attacked. You can also teleport as Shez using the Shadow Flash. You can use this from the map. You hit X and then tap on the location you want to go to, and you can teleport up to 3 times per mission. Okay, so on maps where you need to capture many objectives, what I like to do, so let's say I want to play as Ingrid, right? So what I'll do is I'll have Dedu and Ash guard Dimitri, then I'll have Dimitri go pursue an objective. So in this case, I can just have him go attack that. And then while they do that, I will do other things. Now, when you're the player, you can get away with attacking things that are your weakness. So for example, if I want to go over here, I can do that. Like it's a Cav that probably has Horse Slayer or something. So as long as you're careful, you can usually fight things that you're weak to. And this is on hard mode. This isn't maddening or anything. I don't have that unlocked yet. I just deleted the game, unfortunately. I just haven't had time to catch up. But you can see that as the player, you can kind of just do whatever you feel like and just go through killing enemies that are hard counters to you. Alright, so I'm just going to pause it really quick to get back to the 10 points. Okay, so in maps where you... Okay, so that's point number 5. So this kind of like divide and conquer thing is really good for attacking. It's really good for getting S rank. The damage these units take doesn't count against your S rank as far as I'm aware. So having a small group that is relatively safe and tanky attack like a position just kind of frees you up. So they'll capture things slower than you, but they will capture things. And then once they're done, you just assign them to the next stronghold. And then what you do is you, as aggressively as humanly possible, take out everything else and then move them as needed. When you pause the game, it pauses everything. So like you can adjust battle plans in real time easily and react to new threats and new things popping up. So this kind of like AI squad is really effective for just kind of like buying time for slow capping. You're going to be capping as a solo, like as a player, assuming you know what you're doing, like in terms of combat. You're going to be capping way faster than them, but at least they help you. So they're not a liability, they're not dying, and they actually contribute instead of being bad and taking away from your overall battle plans. Okay, so on large maps where you need healing, you can run a healer, have them follow a group of AI. So kind of like how this group of AI is just chilling out over here. If you're on like one of the actual story missions and you have 8 deployable units or more, you can have like Mercedes, Linhart, whoever, a healer, follow this group, and you can switch to that healer and heal manually to keep them all topped off and to keep them going. It's also really good for boss fights, like fighting Byleth, because Byleth will deal insane amounts of damage in short periods of time. So you usually need some healing to offset all that damage, and that's really good to use. Mercedes has a free heal, so she can just keep healing indefinitely. This is really useful. There's also some maps where there's green units you need to keep alive. Any escort mission, even if it's just like a 4-man mission, you usually want a healer just to switch to. So in this case, I would probably drop like Ash for a healer. Okay, so if a unit is in trouble, you can order them to heal themselves. So it's very important to know this. If a unit's about to die, you can hover over them in the map, hit ZR, other, and then heal, and they will instantly use one of their healing items. So something useful to know. Okay, so that's point 7. Point 6 was running a healer and having them follow an AI squad and also taking manual control. Tip 8, switching characters to spam combat art is a great way to strike down bosses. So for example, let's do this. Let's do our first combat art. Second one. Switch character. Okay, he's out of range. I didn't realize he was that far away. But you can kind of just do this. This can actually be effective too, like just using abilities like this. If you're trying to like do S rank, quickly going through this. Like now this stronghold captain's almost dead just from doing this. Alright, now he is dead, and I can switch back to Ingrid. So by doing that, I was able to quickly take out a position, and then what I can do... So these guys are all defending Dimitri. Oh, they have to kill this. They don't have to kill this, but they probably should. And that's... Looks like they're about to attack. Okay, so AI will build Warrior Gauge. Warrior Gauge is your A attack. One thing that's extremely useful to do is to use Warrior Gauge to open fights or to like finish them before they become a problem. This isn't something you can really do against like Byleth. Like you will be spamming Warrior Gauge against Byleth, but it's not going to be killing Byleth right away. It'll help. So here's an example of using Warrior Gauge. Like you just use it, you hit A, assuming you have it. This drastically tips the scales of the fight in your favor. So I'm able to kill this guy really quickly now. Then I can switch to one of these, see who has highest. Alright, Dimitri, in this case, should be able to build this up really quickly. Attacked the wrong way there. Pretty pro of me. Alright, so just gonna try to build up his Warrior Gauge. They tend to build it up slower than the player because they don't hit as much and they don't deal as much damage. But over time, especially on longer maps, they will have Warrior Gauges built. So in this case, I'm kind of helping him build it. And also, there's like some calves that have armor for like Horse Slayer and stuff. Alright, so it's built, then you can use it. This will drastically help out your AI squad. And on long maps, they'll have a few of these stored, and then you can just dump them on bosses to help you get S ranks. Clear objectives easier. Alright, and then you can switch back to your actual unit. Alright, so in this point, all I need to do is capture the one objective, and I think there's like a boss. So we're doing pretty well. We're killing a ton of things as well, so we're probably going to get S rank. I already have S rank this map. Alright. So tip number 9, build warrior gauge. Switch the units. AI will build it over time. Burn through it to kill things. You get easy S ranks. Tip number 10, you can temporarily assign an adjutant. So this is something that I actually really like to do. It's pretty fun. So what you do... So let's find someone who's close. Alright, let's try to build up Ash. So let's build up a warrior gauge first. What you do is you assign an adjutant to increase the damage of the warrior gauge. Or of the warrior... what the hell is it called? The warrior action, I guess. The warrior attack, we'll call it. I keep forgetting like the exact names because they don't really mention it in-game a lot, but the warrior gauge, it triggers the A attack, so that's all you really need to know. Let's just try to build this gauge up. Dang, it's taking him a while to build it up compared to some of these other units. Alright. I have him on Archer because I'm going to be doing an Archer tutorial pretty soon, so I'm just like playing around with Archer. Alright, let's build up this gauge. I just want to demo it. Essentially, assigning an adjutant will increase the damage from the warrior attack, the A attack. Extremely useful to do this. The big upside to it is it's free damage, and if you're just dumping damage on a boss, it just gives you more damage. And then you just unassign the adjutant, so there's like no downside of doing this at all. Alright, he's really close. This is kind of like a bonus tip. This is pretty obvious, but if you're ever in a position where you just have to kill a boss to finish a map, you can just assign an all-out attack. Alright, so we'll do that. So all-out attack. Okay, so we have this armor knight, right, in this mercenary. So let's do this. So you hit A, and then you hit other, ZR, assign as adjutant. You have to wait for him to actually get to you, and then use your attack. And you'll know it works because both their faces will appear and they'll do like a combo. You just get more damage for free. And then immediately after, assuming you don't want him to actually adjutant, you just hit ZR, unassign adjutant, and then Dimitri's back. And you can do that if you have a bunch of warrior gauges filled. You can assign an adjutant to a person who has a full gauge, burn through it, unadjutant them, re-adjutant to another unit, and then just keep doing that until everything is dead. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty OP, to be honest. And Paladin's X attack is ridiculous. It's like so good, it's insane. Okay. So bonus tip, if a unit is about to die and you're out of healing items and spells, you can just adjutant them to another unit and they're now invincible. Very easy to do this. So that's our tip 11. So we'll just kind of recap. So the first tip is to check weaknesses before starting the mission and to change units based on the weapon types and who has an advantage and who has a disadvantage. The second tip, play to your unit's strengths. For example, if a unit is good on half of a map, but countered on another half, especially when it comes to AI, you want to have that unit attack the side of the map that's best and most optimal. AI is always going to be worse than a player. The AI in this game is like kind of slow to attack, doesn't combo, doesn't do anything crazy. It's always going to deal much less damage than you, and is going to play kind of suboptimally, get hit a lot, not dodge that much, not like block at all. So if you send AI to attack a weakness, it usually gets destroyed like really fast, and it's not even funny. So you usually want to make sure your AI is attacking optimal targets. Yeah, look at this X attack, it's so absurd. This is so dumb, dude. Alright, tip 3, you can buy level ups, and you always want to forge your weapons to increase your damage. Alright, so here we just comboed this dude. Now we're gonna get some Adjutant action to kind of show it again. You can also use the A attack to interrupt enemy bosses because it interrupts whatever they're doing and just starts comboing them, and also protects your allies. So like if a boss is about to do a huge attack, it'll interrupt their attack. Pretty useful. Alright, he's dead. Okay. So tip 3, buy level ups, upgrade your weapons. Tip 4, on maps with attack and defense, devote a durable unit to defense. Tip 5, on maps where you need to capture many objectives, what you'll want to do is have all the AI push different objectives while you capture other objectives. They'll capture slower than you, but they'll be safer. Tip 6, on large maps, run a healer usually. You can take manual control to heal allies, especially green units, great on escort missions. Tip 7, if a unit is in trouble, you can order them to heal themselves through the map, so you can just have them use a healing item. Tip 8, switching characters to spam combat arts is a great way to spike down bosses and also to capture positions. Tip 9, AI will build warrior gauge over time. You can spam warrior gauge attacks, like not necessarily spam them, but you can burn through them to help the AI capture things. So you can just switch to the AI, adjutant a dude to the unit with the warrior gauge full, use your warrior gauge, burn through that, get a big attack, unadjutant them, switch back to your main unit. Simple stuff like that. And then 10, of course, you can temporarily assign an adjutant to increase damage of warrior gauge. And then bonus tip, adjutant prevents death, so as long as you put it on a unit that's strong, durable, not about to die, you can keep something safe. It also gets XP while it's an adjutant and gives the adjutanted unit a bonus. So those are my 10 basic tips plus a bonus tip for general hard mode. A lot of this also helps with getting S ranks. Spamming warrior gauge attacks tends to get you a ton of kills, which is one of the requirements. Just optimal play, like having things attack weaknesses and have resistances to enemies, will reduce damage taken. Completion time will go down because you're just burning through high damage attacks. So this is also indirectly a guide for how to get S rank because these things will drastically increase your damage output. But if you find this useful, definitely like the video and subscribe, and also drop a comment and let me know what type of guides you'd like me to make for this game and what you thought of the video. Thanks for checking this out, and see you in the next one.